A school governing body member from the Magaliesburg School of Specialization in Krugersdorp has abandoned his bail hearing. The man is accused of raping a grade 12 pupil at a Matric farewell event. He will remain in custody and the case has been postponed to 8 March 2023 for further investigations. Our reporter Pule Letshwiti Jones is monitoring the case and joins us now. Pule, can you tell us a little bit more background about this horrific incident?
Definitely, and it seems as though this, unfortunate incident transpired during a Matric farewell where, these school, learners were out and, of course, under the guidance and, protection of the school educators and, of course, some from the school governing body as well. We didn't understand that this is where this incident transpired, where the member of the SGB isolated himself with this particular student, where he then allegedly sexually assaulted her. But this, of course, has caused so much devastation and, heartbreak to the family of the victim, who joins me now and speaks to us live on eNCA this midday. Mama, thank you very much for joining us. Perhaps maybe if you can just tell us how, the family feels right now. You were in court and the case has been postponed. Do you feel as though much more still has to be done?
Is family enough. But the problem is as much as ba re boleletse le bone gore bone ba tshware batho ba kodimo ke ba tshware ma ANC ke ma comrade, so ba setse ba use case ena politically and ke ntwe ne re sa e batla
or politically ba renka
go na le ma ANC go na le ma EFF bile ma ANC ba divided because the perpetrator the leader mo ANC ko Magaliesburg.
And then you also said this is not the first time this incident transpires at the school, can it?
Didn't say so ha ba bui ba tshaba because ba fiwa tšhelete. Ngwana ka investigate wa di case di teng.
Ngwana eno ya
ga right at all le mama gage ga ba right.
Has she been receiving counseling?
Not yet.
And then in terms of step ahead, King is his family, family on air. I just wanted to say something, Mantswenyane, regarding this situation at Zahatse.
Yes, not really familiar with Musito, Friedemann, Lebepe, Le Mageza. From Wana. I see so go hore a tlhokomelo ke the very same SGB ebe move later. I'm worried because incident it happened on the 9th of December, but the management, school management, azanga ba ya go family, the victim family ba tlo ba ka assista yang. Department district itself ikredile kwalo on the 14th after ikra pressure from the community members. I don't know if ever this case is included as a case of a high profile in terms of GBV, Rodokola School, Ronarelli family, and support EFF and ANC. Kerata Holebhatata, Mepulan from the district, Obilar Siheta, I don't know that Tusa, Kaban Testif Mabona Telefana, Kitloko upon Testif Mabona, please, the Testif Mabona, the SGB must be disbanded. And the Testif Mabona must make it a point or Utilaka Prispalago School. Because Prispalago School, Henry got 12 on the 14th, Rabosa School said it's in to assist the victim. We see her as this matter likely so, and it does not sit well with us. It is my humble request to Mr. Steve Mabona.
Okay.
Please deal with the principal, the management at Magaliesburg School of Specialization, who deal like SGB. Right. I so wish that the SGB must be disbanded because you cannot have SGB members that they are not vetted. The previous records there, utilaka pedophiles, utilaka PVs, utilaka sex pets, but normal, but normal situation. And the part of the school say, "Basi politicize." Our school say, "ANC cannot be correct." The school must be apolitical.
Thanks, Manova. I just want to, of course, throw to Steve. But before I go there, in a nutshell, the family is saying that they're quite, devastated and they're reeling in shock from the situation. But furthermore, also calling for the disbandment of the school governing body and for the principal of the school to be dealt with harshly, and saying that this should set a precedent that most, educators and those who form part part of the SGB board be vetted? Because what we understand is that the accused, of course, had a previous conviction in 1984 of theft. But joining me now is the Gauteng Education spokesperson, Steve Mabona. Mr. Steve, obviously, Gibwa Libatswadi, and they're saying that the SGB should be disbanded. As the Department of Education, what further steps are you taking to ensure that, this matter is dealt with accordingly?
Thanks very much. Yes, the MEC has already indicated that the department need to look at the SGB, but that disbanding an SGB, you need a report that will be coming from the district, interacting very closely with the school and give you evidence that probably, we need to ask the SGB on why they must not be disbanded, and that can only be done by the HOD. So we will fast track that process and make sure that the HOD then probably ask them that question, basing ourselves on what will be coming from the district as evidence, because we can't just disband an SGB. They will have recourse, and if they probably take you to court, they might win their case. So you need to be very careful and do as per the prescripts, but we are really considerate. MEC has already indicated that really we need to look very closely on this SGB, because there's some complaints that have been coming our way, so we can't ignore it. But working very closely with the SGB, with the district office, we will fast track that process. And on the other score, there's an investigation that we have actually launched, regarding the one educator who was implicated in playing some sort of a role, before the victim was violated. So we will be investigating. If it comes to a push that precautionarily we must remove the educator, we'll do so, but we'll follow the prescripts and make sure that we investigate that. As for the principal, we'll also launch that investigation and check on all the complaints that are put on the table, because you don't go with hearsay. You need evidence, you need to investigate and put on the table, make sure that if you were to remove anyone from school, you are basing yourselves on facts.
What does this say also about the issue of the vetting? I mean, I was with you in court. We're being told now that previously it was said that he didn't have any conviction, but now we understand he had a conviction stemming from around 1984 of theft. Does this speak volumes? Does it say that there has to be strict vetting processes before educators or members of communities can be part or serve on the SGB board?
Yes, indeed. I mean, we need to work very closely with the members of the community, because they, elect on who they want to represent them in an SGB. They are members of the community. Remember, SGB is a parent body. They represent parents. So parents need to work very closely with us. When we elect, we need to elect people that we know that they have, interest of our children at heart. Yes, as a department, we have a responsibility to make sure that the necessary vetting process is invoked to all, SGB. You will understand that the amendment of the Schools Act, there's an indication there that beyond this disclosure, we need to make sure that we have SGB members that have vested interest of children at heart. So we'll be working very closely with all the, stakeholders and make sure that there's the necessary vetting and make sure that those that are responsible for our children, we are aware of their role, and we are sure that they're not going to be accused of allegedly violating our children.
Of course, also this speaks, to some sort of way of gender-based violence, of course, declared as a pandemic by the president of the state. This is something you also will be fighting, not only at the school, but other schools as well, right, to educate staffers and other, educators through workshops as well.
Yes, it's quite concerning. I mean, the level of GBV that we see, not only, in our school population, but in the, in our country, in our society, is quite alarming. I mean, when we, here at court, we just got information that there's a male person who appeared here yesterday, allegedly for raping 4 children, which is quite concerning. I mean, from the age of 9, between 9 and 15, we still, shocked, to realize that. And it's quite concerning that, we can easily violate children in this fashion, or women for that sake. So it's quite concerning. We need to do a lot of education, work very closely with Department of Community Safety and Liaison, Social Development, and make sure that we support the victims.
And counseling for the family too.
Yes, definitely. I mean, we have made inroads. It's just that now, as you know, that most of our people are on leave. We have made inroads to the family to say we need to support them. But remember, in a case of sexual assault, the police also have a role to play in making sure that the victim is supported in terms of counseling. We can't, as a department, lead that process. Meanwhile, there's another process that police are going through. So you can't, do two processes for one victim, because you will be violating her further. So we'll be working very closely with the police just to check on why they have not started with the process of counseling the victim.
Maybe just lastly, before I throw it back to my colleague Anli, I mean, there's an allegation that this is a member of the ANC lead. I mean, surely there should also be, something which is quite concerning to see that now, some sort of political affairs spilling over to educational services, facilities and communities as well.
No, I will take it back to the community. Community are the ones that elect the SGB, and they still have a right not to elect people that they feel that they are not comfortable with, whether coming from a political party or coming from any civic, association, organization that is active. I mean, it's in the parents' hands to say we're going to elect people that have the interest of children at heart. So there's a case now that has been opened. I mean, the perpetrator was arrested. So there's no interference. I mean, we are here at court. Court is going parallel. There's no organization that was mentioned here in court. So we'll be watching this case very closely as a department.
All right, thank you very much. Steve Mabona, Gauteng Education Department spokesperson, just clarifying for us a few things in regards to what the family raised in terms of that vetting process, which they believe should be strictly implemented and looked into when having to appoint members of, community members or any members of any society or representing any spectrum to serve on the SGB board, to say they must be vetted strictly, because of what we just heard from court, that the accused had a conviction, was convicted and had a case of theft stemming from back in 1984.